Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Raise Your Bars podcast with myself, Al Rattan. I'm here with my good friend, Chris Baker. How are you doing today, Chris?
Doing good, Al. Doing good. I'm like feeling positive, optimistic, upbeat, everything that we want to feel in. And sometimes it's hard to do that, right? Sometimes we sort of get
Absolutely.
dragged into
Into the
other
swamp
people's slumps. Yeah, yeah.
drama.
But no, it's
And you know what? You realize that tomorrow's December 1st? Like, okay, so
I
folks,
know.
we're recording this on Thursday, November 30th, and it'll go out
Yeah,
there on December 1st. But tomorrow's December 1st.
yeah. Crazy.
We'll be entering the last month of 2023. And Chris, looking back on 2023, it's been definitely an interesting year.
Hmm.
And, obviously some challenging times in the economy and stuff like that for certain industries. But at the same time, I think it's been a year full of opportunities. And, I don't think you and I have achieved all of the goals we set out to achieve in 2023. But that's okay because they're still out there and we're still working on them and we just have to readjust and keep moving forward. But at the same time, I think it's been a great year.
It has. And we've said before, Al, that the fulfillment and satisfaction is not in the destination, it's in the journey.
Mhm.
And I think we've had a tremendous journey this year, and we've tried a few different things. But the underlying core of what we believe in, the bars system,
Mhm.
is still there, and I think it's getting stronger. And I
I
think
I
I
think so
think
too.
we're we probably needed a little bit of adversity this year as well, because if things come to you too easily, then they're not meaningful enough, right? And I think we've
Exactly.
we've worked for it, we've worked through some things, and we're building for next year. And I think every year is full of opportunities. It's just whether you choose to look for them or not. And
Exactly.
do you see them because do you know what it is you truly want and what you're aiming for? And maybe at the beginning of the year we didn't necessarily know that 100%, but I think we do
Mhm.
now.
Absolutely.
I think we're clear on that, and I think therefore it's 2024 is going to be a fantastic year. I really do.
I agree, and, we've already solidified one high ticket client for 2024 that we're gonna be working with. We've started a little bit of the groundwork now with their organization, and we're
Hmm.
really gonna dive in starting in January. That just worked best for their schedule and honestly for ours as well. It's busy this time of the year, but, I mean, that's exciting, and just even seeing the little things that we've discovered so far,
Mm,
we know that we're gonna be able to help them, really stretch themselves and grow their organization next year, and that's exciting. That's gonna be exciting to be a part of.
for sure.
Um, and I think that there's many more of those clients to come. So folks, if you are a business owner and you're looking to grow, expand your business, if you're maybe fallen on some rough times, if maybe you've lost your passion for what you first started, out with doing, the passion you had when you started your business, or you've maybe plateaued, then reach out to us. And this isn't a
Yeah,
sales podcast, but reach out to us and let's have a little discussion. Jump on a Zoom call together and see if we can help you. Because I know
yeah,
that if you implement bars in your organization, you'll definitely see growth.
yeah.
I just know that. I
And
know that.
Al, as I sit here and we again we haven't scripted the start of this. We've got something we want to talk about. We haven't even got to it yet, and we're
Nope.
4 minutes in to
We
the
will. We
podcast.
will.
But I think about bars, and again, if you're listening, you should know what bars is. But it's behaviors plus actions equals results and success. And I think we've done that with the business we're building. But I think Al, we've done that personally as well, with our own careers and with our own lives, and I
Mhm.
look back and it's interesting because as you go through, you think, oh, I haven't achieved this much this year. But then when you look at it and you're not looking at starting out a new venture in January, you've been to Paris IMC again and you know,
Romania.
Romania, yeah.
Yep.
I've done been doing more teaching at Disney and done more disc workshops and disc assessments this year than ever. Um, two emerging leaders classes, getting ready to launch an executive leader class, as well as teaching a 2 2-hour sessions on customer experience to company employees in Uruguay.
I
Right?
know,
That
that's
they were
incredible.
speaking a foreign language to me. So
I
look at
know.
those things and you think, wow, we've done a lot, right? We've done a lot.
Absolutely. Even next week, right? I have to go to Ontario for some board meetings, and while I'm there, a friend of mine referred me to a company and had a conversation with them, and they booked a disc model of human
There
behavior
you go.
workshop with me.
Yeah.
So next week I'm there already, and I'm going to go and spend half a day with them on
Mhm.
Friday, and I'm looking forward to it, and they're excited about it, and I've already shipped out all the supplies, so I didn't have to carry it in my suitcase.
Yeah.
And like it's just, but I mean, you got to be. I guess the moral of the story here is you have to be open and ready when opportunity presents itself. And in this case, Chris was ready when Disney approached him and said, "Hey, would you like to lead these emerging leader classes for us?" Chris is
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, I'm good to go. Let's go." Right? Review
Right.
the curriculum and push forward, and has had rave reviews from not only the participants but the leaders of those
Yeah.
participants about that program. For me, you know, be ready, right? In season and out, be ready. Well, hey, Al, you're going to be in Ontario. Can you do a disc workshop for this company? Yeah, let's have a conversation. Send them a quote. They approve the quote, which means I probably quoted too low because they approved
Mhm.
pretty quick. But at the same time, we had a great conversation online, and it's the beginning of a potential long-term relationship and more contracts with
Exactly.
them down the road. I just need to go in there and do what I do. And I believe I do it well. I haven't had any complaints about them. I think I do it well, do the disc workshop well, and there's possibility of future
Mhm.
business. So I think you just need to be ready when opportunity presents itself. And I think so many people get caught up in the drama and the negativity that they aren't necessarily having that mindset of readiness when they are when an opportunity comes.
What they're doing now is they're looking for the results and the success before they've done the behaviors and the actions.
And
Right,
that's
and
that's so true.
RSBA does not spell any word, right? So you've got to do the behaviors and the actions and
Exactly.
trust that if you do that and you do that well and you do that consistently day after day, the results and the success will come.
Will
I
come.
can't tell you
Yeah.
when it'll come,
No.
but it will come. And then if you continue to reinforce those behaviors and the actions, good behaviors and actions, and they become habits and they become contagious and you develop them, your results and your success will develop too.
Mhm.
So we are living examples of the bars method. And that's why
Exactly.
we do this podcast. We do it for free. We do it to teach people. Hopefully, you're listening and hopefully, you're learning. And it brings us on to the topic we wanted to talk about today, right? Which we've probably got about 10 minutes left now, but
Yeah,
it's really about employee engagement and trust and and desire at work, right? And I know you shared some statistics with me earlier this week, and from various places, but Gallup was one of them, and I've used that
yeah,
before in employee engagement statistics. And one of those that really stood out was the first one that you shared,
I know.
and it blew my mind away really because it said only 23%, that's 23%, so just under a quarter of employees trust the leadership of their organization.
Unbelievable. That's from Gallup organization, yeah,
Yeah.
Gallup poll,
So
people.
why do you think that is?
Wow, you know what? I just think it's because, honestly, I think it's because people don't stay true to their word or their values or don't, I think leaders lose trust so easily by saying they'll do something and then not following through with it.
Mm,
By saying that they'll take care of something or disciplining that employee who's maybe a problem employee and not following through with it.
yeah.
And eventually that erodes the trust of the people that are reporting to you. You need to be accountable to what you say. You need to have integrity in how you handle
Mm,
situations and people and your commitments. And I think it comes down to, again, knowing what your values are, sticking to them,
right.
and making sure you live them out in your daily walk.
Hmm.
And if you don't do that, guess what? Your team is not going to trust you because
Yeah.
they're going to come to you and ask you for a solution or ask you to communicate in a certain way or ask for some information. And if you don't do that, then that erodes the trust. And that's one of the
Hmm.
tools that we use with organizations is building their team charter, really
Yeah.
hold everybody, including the leadership team, accountable to their actions and their words.
Yeah. I think it's right. I think the the thing with leadership again is that most leaders are pressured into focusing on the results. All right,
Yeah.
they're paid on the
Bottom
results.
line, bottom line, bottom line.
And the Simon Sinek talks about this in The Infinite Game, one of my favorite books, where most companies play what they call a finite game. They're looking at this quarter, they're looking at this year, right? They're
Mhm.
not looking at 5 years down the line, 10 years
Mhm.
down the line, and what is the impact of what they do today. What impact is it going to have in that time, right? They're just focused purely on the here and now. And I get it. I've come from a sales environment. You've come from a sales environment. But I switched that mentality a long time ago because the whole concept of delivering exceptional customer service to increase your customers' um, intent to return and their intent to recommend, to make them lifelong raving fans, right? To really maximize the value of that customer for life is something that is priceless.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, we as society, as businesses, we don't target our people in that way. We target them on the bottom line.
We're short-sighted in a lot of ways, and I
Mhm,
just this brings up such a great thing is John Maxwell's law of addition. We just I'm doing a 21 Laws mastermind group with a group of business leaders right now, and we actually had a session this morning, and we talked about the law of addition. And in that example is the founder of Costco,
mhm,
and John tells the story about how he did not believe this will rock some CEOs' worlds. He did not believe that CEOs should make 200 or 300% more than the frontline workers do.
right.
Um, and I know most CEOs out there would go, "Whoa, whoa, wait a minute! I want my 7-figure salary and my my
Mm,
bonuses and my stock options and
mhm,
stuff like that." But when your frontline employee is making $15 an hour and you're making, $50 million a year or
yeah,
more,
yeah,
there's a disparity there. And I think that erodes trust, right? But he talks about how this guy had, mostly folding tables in his office. He answered his own phone. He would go down to the lobby and get somebody if somebody came to have a meeting with him. He visited every store every year and knew the staff and treated them well. And hey, if we treat our staff well and our customers well, profit will come. That was
yeah,
his thing. When the stock market, when the shareholders were pushing him to watch expenses, he said, "No, this is what we do. If we take care of our staff, we take care of our
yeah,
customers, the profit will come."
yeah. And I think it's one of the things that within most organizations, if we're honest about it, is they don't really teach leadership skills.
No.
They put people in what they call quote unquote leadership positions, but they're really putting them as managers because they
Mhm.
don't know how to lead people. They don't know how to communicate with people. They don't know how to connect with people. They're not taught empathy, right? And
Mhm.
emotional intelligence, and we
Emotional
we
intelligence,
teach
yeah.
DISC as well, the communications.
Mhm.
All of those, what people would call soft skills, I call people skills, right? They don't teach
Mhm.
that,
No.
and
But
so
they're vitally important for the culture of your company.
well, they are, and there's the second statistic that you shared from the Josh Bersin Company says
Yes.
that fewer than 1 in 4 companies, so 25% again, right, are satisfied with their leadership teams. 83%, 83% have neglected leadership development. That's staggering, right? And
I
only
know.
25% believe their leadership development is delivering high value to the company.
That means 75% of the companies that are doing some type of leadership development don't believe it's actually adding any value to the organization, which I would suggest then you're using the wrong people or the wrong program or the
Right.
wrong curriculum.
Yeah, yeah,
And of those that are, right? And then, and 83% have neglected leadership development.
yeah. And it ties in with where there's that famous saying that people don't leave organizations, they leave bad leaders, right? And
Exactly.
let me say here that I don't necessarily blame the leaders, right? Because they're put in that position. They're those on the 5 levels of leadership, they're level
Mhm.
1 positional leaders, right? They're
Right.
given that position. If nobody shows you and teaches you how to lead, you're just going to do what you do or what you see, right?
Yep.
and
Yeah.
therefore you're always going to stay at that level. So I don't blame them. If and you know, I know, and you know, through working with developing leaders and teaching leaders, coaching, mentoring, and so on, you can teach leadership, right? Nobody, as John Maxwell says, nobody's born a leader, right?
Exactly.
You
Yep.
teach that, and you show them how to do it, and it's not rocket science, really isn't, but it does take
But
intentional
it
action, right?
takes
And it
intentional
takes those
effort.
intentional behaviors.
Yeah. And the thing is too, even though you may say like, okay, I can say I've been in leadership for 33 years. Okay, well, good for you. But are you continuing to grow yourself as a leader?
Right.
Because eventually your team is going to pass you if you don't, right?
Mhm.
In those soft skills.
Yeah.
So you need to be and also how are you going to pour into your team and develop and grow them if you're not developing and growing yourself?
Yeah.
So again, with 83% of whatever it was here, 83% have neglected leadership development. That's
Mhm.
a sad statement right there, in my opinion.
It is.
And it's amazing. Again, Chris, you and I both run into this where we've talked to companies and it's like, nah, I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm fine.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that tells me a lot about your organization.
Yeah. And
Um,
you.
and you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, and folks, I'm not saying this because we're in the leadership development business and you have to do something with us. Do something with somebody, even if it's watching some YouTube
Mhm.
videos, right? Do something to grow yourself as a leader so you can in
Right.
turn pour into your team and help them grow and develop.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you that people, especially the younger people, they want it.
Right.
They want to grow. They want to learn. And if one thing is true, this employee engagement survey we just did with this company, Chris, and I'm going to share the results with you. Sorry, I've been waiting for them to all come in, but share the results with you. A lot of the people don't feel they're being utilized to
Mhm.
full potential. A lot
Right.
of people would like have said in this engagement survey they would like to be developed. A
Yeah.
lot of people in this engagement survey want consistent feedback from the
Right.
leadership team, and they're not getting it.
Yeah.
So I think all these things come into play, and if you're not doing it, you're doing a disservice to your team,
Mhm.
and you're capping, like John talks about your leadership lid, well, but you're capping your potential as an organization to grow
Right.
beyond where you are now.
Right.
You may have a few good years. A lot of companies that we've dealt with and we've talked to have had some really good years through COVID.
Uh-huh.
If you were in the hospitality industry, I'm sorry, no, it was a horrible couple of years. I know that. But if you were in retail selling, well, pretty much retail selling anything, because people were spending money on their homes, in their communities, they weren't traveling, all that disposable income went into stuff like that. You had good years. You could do no wrong. But guess what? 2023 is not a good year. 2024, according to all economic outlooks, is going to be at least the first half is going to be very, very tough for the
Right.
retail landscape. So again, you need to remove that cap off your organization. By now, you need to be pouring into your team and yourself to grow yourself so you can be the best, very best person, very best version of yourself you could be to
Mhm.
serve the customers that are walking through your door and close those sales.
Right. And not only keep hold of your customers, Al, but keep hold of your people. You know,
Exactly.
your top people, all right, and not they're not necessarily the top performers, but the top people in terms of potential and an ability to develop will leave if you don't develop them,
Yeah,
right? Because somebody else
exactly.
will, and
Exactly.
therefore that's going to impact the um, sustained success of your company.
Absolutely.
Right. And we, you know, part of our bars program as well, we talk about or use Jeff Henderson's "What are you for?" Right. And you know,
Mhm.
what does your company want to be known for? And what is it known for? Right.
Exactly.
And that could be with your customers, but also with your employees.
Yeah.
And these surveys that we're doing are showing that too, right? Because we do a customer survey and we do an employee survey. And
Mhm.
both of them are highlighting things that maybe the owners aren't aware of, or they maybe ignore in some ways, right?
Those who ignore it, maybe they aren't aware of it. We're
Right.
just bringing light to situations that are
Yeah.
that are potential issues within your organization.
Yeah.
And I think, Chris, I think just one more stat to cover tonight here, and we'll wrap things up. But I think it ties in perfectly with what you're saying is that 51% of currently employed workers around the world say they are watching for or actively seeking a new job. So that
Absolutely.
means, folks, however many people are in your organization on your team right now, guess what?
Mhm.
51% of them are actively looking for another job.
Yeah. And the 49% that aren't are probably ones that you would wish would go and get another job, right? If we're honest
Exactly.
about it,
Exactly.
because
Yes.
your cream will leave and then you'll be
Yeah.
left with more of the base, right? And that makes it even harder to do business and
Exactly.
harder to attract high performing employees because the culture within the organization will be dragged down, whether you like it or not. It will be because the behaviors and actions are going to be lower than they should be. Therefore, the results and success will be. And
Exactly.
not many people want to go and join a low performing team,
No, people want to
right?
be on a
With a
winning
bad
team,
culture.
right? And just think, if you're thinking your bottom line and what's it going to cost me to train these people, what's it going to cost to replace them? Because if they say it's 3 times the wage, 3+ times the wage of an employee to replace them, and the searching, the interviewing process, the recruiting, the hiring, the training, the developing, getting them up to speed. So if you're paying somebody $50,000 a year and you lose one person, that's $150,000
Yeah.
cost to you to replace that person. So imagine if 2 or 3 of your people leave, you're at 300,000, four hundred and
Mm,
fifty thousand, right? Like it's a huge expense that you don't necessarily see right away because it's, obviously over time as you're training and
right,
investing these people,
right.
but lost productivity comes into play, right? Customer service, product knowledge, all these other things come into play.
Yeah,
So
your
you can
reputation.
go
Yeah.
and your reputation, you're right. Your reputation as
Mm,
an employer, as an organization, as a company in town. So look at it this way: spend 25, 30, $40,000 training in, investing in, pouring into your team to develop and grow them, or 3 times their wage to replace just
right,
one.
right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
sadly, that's the way most when times get hard, the first thing that usually goes is training. Right,
Hmm.
and it should
Hmm.
be the complete opposite. When times get hard, you should be spending more time and more money on training because you need to maximize every opportunity. Like,
Exactly.
the title of my podcast, Maximize Your Potential, and yours, Lead from the Driver's Seat. And then we
Hmm.
got Raise Your Bars. All of them tie in the same thing. You need to be
Exactly.
doing the right thing day in, day out, consistently over time, and you'll generate the results.
Yeah.
Right. So again, this is not a pitch to work with us. We can only work with so many people, to be honest with you, and we're picky about who we work with, if we're honest.
Right.
So but look at your business, look at yourself. Right. If you're not a business owner, if you're a leader, a manager, um, an entrepreneur, whatever, a parent, a grandparent, just look at what are you doing, right?
Mhm.
And what do you do on a daily basis, and how does that come across to the people that you associate with, your family, your workers, your colleagues, your bosses, right? Because that's the thing that they see, right? People do what people see,
Right.
not what people say. So
Mhm.
people will emulate what you're doing. And are you doing the right thing? Are you doing the things that would generate the results, the good results, or are you doing things that would generate poor results or average results? And
Right.
average is not a word we like to talk about, right?
No,
It's not a good place.
nobody wants to be average.
No. So
Nobody wants
so
to be average.
that's your task for this week, folks, is look at yourself, right?
Mhm.
Do a deep dive into who are you, what do you do, how does that come across? And is that who you need to become the person you want to be,
Absolutely.
right? And if not, be that person now and get a kickstart on the new year. Don't wait till January for a New Year's
Oh,
resolution. Start now,
do
right?
do it now. Yeah,
Yep.
do it now. Well, folks, hey, thanks for tuning in. RaiseYourBars.ca. If you go to that website, you can find our contact information there. We'd love to connect with you on social media. If you got some value from this podcast, please share it with your friends, family, coworkers. We would sincerely appreciate that. And if you have any feedback for us, then reach out. You can find us on Facebook or
Mhm.
at RaiseYourBars.ca. Thanks for tuning in. Have an amazing
Absolutely.
day.
Bye, everyone.